What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña, and in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. What if I told you that abundance has very little to do with the amount of money that's actually in your bank account? Because here's the facts. Many people that have a lot of money can sometimes end up feeling really depressed, can feel overwhelmed, can feel like nothing is working out for them. Now, the truth is that abundance is not just something that we can actually chase. It actually is something that we become by understanding all of the blessings that we already have. So today I'm going to get into some frameworks, and my goal is that by the end, I can actually help you understand how your character needs to be developed before the blessing or your manifestation that you're trying to come into fruition. How you actually being devoted to what you're creating is one of the most important things in the alignment game, which a lot of people know as, again, manifesting and the law of attraction and the law of vibration. This is you actually becoming the person that can simply bring these things into your reality. Another very key important takeaway is going to be how your legacy is greater than any type of income that you can manifest. And this is something that, again, once we understand how this framework works, it is going to help you even when you feel like the money in the account isn't quite there. So the first thing is the character, which is the foundation of abundance. Okay, so who are you actually becoming? And in scripture, in Proverbs 31, it actually isn't just talking about wealth. It's describing a character of this woman. Before she built the business, before she actually invested, before she was serving others, she became a woman of wisdom. Now, God develops character before expanding your influence. And this is something that personally for me has really resonated, because if God is looking at us as children that we are of Him, or again, it's not for me a him or a she, it is in energy, but let's just assume that this person, this energy is up in the sky looking at us like little children, and we are still not ready to go driving. We want to get our license so bad, but it's like us looking at our kid that is 10 years old and him saying, "Mom, but I want a car. I really want a car, and I think that I deserve the car." But him not actually being ready for that level of responsibility. How is your blessing maybe something that without you realizing going to self-destruct you? How is that blessing that you're praying for maybe something that you're not ready for? So it actually mentions here on Proverbs 31:30, charm is deceptive and beauty is fleeting, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Now, I've mentioned this to you guys before. I started to really get into scripture because I believe that there's a lot of wisdom there. I believe that the people that shared stories from Jesus Christ were actually sharing how much of a amazing manifester he was and the crazy miracles he was able to perform. But I think the reason why he came down, and if you actually read the story, you can understand that he came to teach us to stop having division between what the church was trying to make us focus on, which is all power should go through them and that you can only connect with God by actually having connection with them, to understanding that you have the direct person that you're trying to reach on speed dial. aka God. So why does this matter? Well, because when you can understand that the person you're becoming, this person that you're trying to manifest into your life, is actually directly tied into you knowing your worth and you knowing that God has actually chosen to have you in this world, that you co-created this reality with him. Now it takes you from the perspective of poor little me, I'm defenseless, I'm this leaf blowing through the wind, to actually taking ownership and understanding I am meant for so much more. Now let's get into the psychological part of this, okay? Identity always precedes behavior. So we don't consistently outperform the identity we believe of ourselves. If we believe that you're irresponsible with money, you are unconsciously going to act as an irresponsible person with money. If you believe that you're incapable, then you are always going to stop yourself before even taking the mindset of trying the new thing that you're trying to create or start or stop doing. So here's where neuroscience ties into the psychological perspective. Every thought that you repeatedly think of actually is creating new neural pathways. Every habit is reinforcing your identity. Your brain is constantly asking you, who are we? Like, who are we right now? And the amazing part is that neuroplasticity tells us that we can create new neural pathways. So that means that you're not stuck with who you've been or where you've been in the past, as long as you're willing to change the information that you're feeding your brain. So let's dissect both of these things, the psychological and the neuroscience. So if you are somebody that identifies as, I don't have money, therefore, life is so hard for me and I'm never going to get the promotion. I'm never going to have the multi-million-dollar company. I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have kids. I'm never going to, whatever it is for you, okay? Whatever lack is for you in your life. Remember, abundance isn't just money. Abundance is an infinite of things. It could be abundance of health, abundance of prosperity, abundance of joy, abundance of serendipity. There's so many ways to see abundance. Now, once we can understand that the way you're constantly thinking about this lack in your life actually manifest into your reality. This is why I'm a firm believer that if you want something in your life, if you want to manifest a new job opportunity, then you should go out there and become the person that that company would want to hire. If you want to get married, become the person that would actually be proposed to because you're such an amazing woman. Or when it comes down to a mother, maybe you have kids and you feel really overwhelmed and you're like, well, like I just have to give my whole life to my kids. What if you change your perspective to understand that God has blessed you with those kids for the time that you have them, but the truth is you don't know how long you're going to have them for. They're going to grow up, they're going to eventually leave the nest. And what about you? Like, who have you been becoming? What have you been creating? Because a lot of us, we get lost in the process. So this is really where we're going to get into the universal principles, right? The laws of the universe. So the law of correspondence talks about so within, so without. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. That's another way of seeing this in scripture. Your external world eventually mirrors your internal world. So if your internal world is always chaos, your external world is going to show that reality. And this is why sometimes people are always talking about how their life just never gets a break. They always feel frustrated. They always feel overwhelmed. They feel like there's all these other people that are getting further ahead in life than them. What if your own mechanism, your own RAS, what you're focusing all the time, is only looking for more proof of that? AKA, if there's chaos inside of your own world, that is what you're going to manifest in your external reality. I was having a conversation with somebody from my team the other day, and she was telling me how she used to be on antidepressants, right? And I asked her, I was like, what was the thing that changed for you? And she was like, well, I changed my thoughts. That's what it came down to. I changed what I was focusing on. And I was so proud of her because she decided to remove herself from the antidepressants that most people will stay using for the rest of their life. Now, I'm not discouraging you from using them if that is something that is helping you right now. But what I am saying is that there's more ways to help yourself. And something that I know sometimes creates anxiety in my world is when I'm focusing on everything that's going wrong. Instead of just taking a beat and saying, you know what, Alexa, like, let's be grown-ups right now. What is going good in your life right now? And I look at the smallest things. Like, I'll look at the fact that my nails are done. I'll look at the fact that I have like air that is fresh. I'll look at the fact that there's like clean water. Those are not small things, by the way. My nails was a small thing. But overall, I take time to just start focusing on everything that's good versus just continuing to add more of the negativity. Now, here is really where devotion is going to create multiplication. So what does this mean? So in Luke 16:10, it says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with very much. So God isn't just looking at what you're praying for. God is actually looking at who you're becoming. So if you want things to multiply in your life, you need to be the person that can actually hold that blessing. Let's say we go to the gym right now and I tell you, hey, you should do 100 pounds on the hip thrust. I've used this example before, but I think it just helps so much with the picture I'm trying to paint here. If you've never gotten on the hip thrust, or if you've never done a hip thrust before, or there's also the equipment, right, that you could use, but let's just say you've never got the barbell, you've never put the plates on the side, you've never done any of that, and all of a sudden you're doing 100, chances are you're going to hurt yourself. And by the end of that, you're probably not going to want to do it again. As opposed to me starting you off with just the barbell, getting you comfortable with that, you feeling like, oh, I feel good about this. Maybe at the beginning you didn't feel too good about it, but as you were going through it, you started getting more confident. And then adding 5 pounds on each side, you're feeling really good. Then eventually we get you to 10, 20, 30. All of a sudden you're doing 100. That is very different. And I think that a lot of us, we just want the blessing without the person that actually can hold that blessing. And this is why I mentioned that if you are feeling like your bank account doesn't really have the weight that you want it to have, it's like, okay, let's reevaluate. Let's look at everything that's going good in our life while I have a job, while I was able to pay my bills, while I was able to actually pay all my bills. And even though I don't have a lot of money left over right now, what I do have is electricity in my house. What I do have is a fridge with some food. What I do have is gas in my car. These are the perspectives that I promise you, once you start focusing more on these, the laws of the universe, the scripture that you're reading, the blessings that God is trying to bless you with, they all come together. Because it shows that, again, in psychology and neuroplasticity, you can create a new habit. You can create a new version of you. And a lot of the times we're just so focused on the negative that is the brain that we are wiring. And in neuroscience, it says every time you choose discipline over impulse, you're strengthening your prefrontal cortex. That is a part of the brain that is responsible for wisdom, planning, and self-control. So when you understand that discipline actually isn't punishment, discipline is simply another way for you to expand your wisdom, expand your vessel, expand who you're becoming. This is where you start becoming the person that is worthy of the blessing you're trying to call in. Now, let's get into the universal principle here of the principle of law and effect. So every financial decision is a seed. Every habit is going to compound. So what I want you to take from this is that if you already have bad habits, and let's not even call them bad habits. Let's just call them out of alignment habits, right? You love to go and buy yourself new shoes every single paycheck. I totally get that, by the way. When I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. I've shared this before, but when my grandpa, every time he would get like his income tax, I was so happy because I got new shoes, and I would take care of my shoes so much. To the point where like I could have them for years and my shoes looked like they were brand new. When I grew up, guess what? I purchased a ton of shoes, right? A lot of shoes. And then I got to the point where I was like, do I really need these? Like, no, I don't need all of these shoes. I started donating a lot of them, and now I'm down to some of the ones that I mainly use. And if I'm honest with you, I still need to get rid of so many more. But I've changed my perspective from I need to prove something, and now actually going into the opposite of that, which is like, okay, if every single financial decision is a seed, and every time I was spending all that money on those shoes, then how can I counteract that, and what can I invest? And when I talk to people, some people have never had a conversation with a financial advisor about having a life insurance or having a Roth IRA or having their own type of annuity or having their own type of, index universal life. Like, these are a few things that I personally invest in that if I didn't have them automatically, like totally honest with you, I probably wouldn't do them. But because a person that I really have I have the view of them as like a mentor, they've shared so many insights with me that when I started seeing what the rich people do, what the wealthy people do, I said, okay, I can start somewhere. And I'm 29 right now. I started investing back when I was maybe about 22 years old. And it's been something that's been compounding. So the more that I just set it and forget it, the more that those seeds are growing. Now, here is where I want to leave you, because when it comes to the money that you have in your bank account right now, maybe you feel like, Alexa, things are just so overwhelming. Like, things are just not where I want them to be. And overall, like, I feel trapped. I feel like I can't, get a break, whatever it is. I want you to catch what you're saying. And I made an entire speech around this because I was preparing for my book at one time, and it's already published, by the way, so that's why I say at one time. But when I was writing the paragraph that I was going to really like make the whole book around, or the chapter that I wrote, I basically was talking about how our thoughts go into autopilot. And I want you to see it from this perspective. If you always go into autopilot, if you're always in this mindset of, well, nothing ever works out for me, why would I even try? If I'm being honest with you right now, me even saying those words feel icky in my body. Like, they don't resonate. They don't feel good, because even when I feel overwhelmed, which, trust me, I go through my own fair share of things, I do my very best to say, you know what, God, I don't understand how, but I know that this too will also be good. I don't know how, but I know that this is going to teach me something. I don't know how, but I know this is going to help me grow in one way or another. When you change your perspective of everything you're going through, this is where you have the breakthroughs. This is where, and going back to my analogy of like a parent, when my kid is acting like a brat, I don't give him whatever he's crying or complaining about. I'm very strict with him, and I'm like, that's not how we communicate. But then when he changes his behavior and he's like in a good energy, I'm like, oh, that makes me want to give him more of what he's astrally putting out in the universe. In this case, good energy. So for me, if I see it like that with my own comprehension of like just normal things that I'm going through, imagine like the creator of everything. Imagine that you have this vessel and it's already of a certain size, but the only way that you can actually hold more in your vessel is by expanding it. And the only way that you can expand it is by what you're learning, is by what you're doing. It's by your devotion. So when you can understand that, you can see, well, when I'm always thinking about all the lack in my life, my vessel is actually staying the same. But when I focus on everything that you've blessed me with, God, and even when I'm not happy with the outcome, I understand that you're doing it from a place of love and that you're trying to teach me something that I don't quite understand. This is where things change for you. This is where you start noticing the open doors. This is where you notice that the door that closed was meant to be closed and that there's a new door that's opening. And this is also where you notice where some of the doors that open are not the ones that God intended for you to walk through. Because sometimes we think that that's an opportunity, but in reality, it's a test. It's testing us to see if we go back to the things that we've been used to before. It's testing you to see if you would prefer to take honey or shit. Like, as simple as I can say it. And a lot of the times we don't choose the honey. We should already learn what shit tastes like to the point where we say, you know what? I'm not going to continue to live my life like this. I'm not going to continue to accept people in my life that are not respecting me. I'm not going to continue to allow myself to not respect myself. You see, I've been doing 75 hard for the past couple of weeks at this point. Honestly, like I have to look at my phone to see like what day I'm on because I have conditioned my brain to like block out what day am I on and just like be locked in to the point where I'm like, this is just my life. Like, this is just my norm. I don't eat sweets. I don't eat anything that I'm not supposed to. I have my morning, my breakfast, my lunch. I have 2 snacks throughout the day. I'm drinking my gallon of water. I'm reading my pages. I'm taking my progress photos and I'm just doing it. And this is just part of my identity, which makes it a lot easier for me to do versus always thinking, oh my God, I really want some ice cream. Oh my God, I really want some Korean food right now. That makes it harder. So back to the point that I made earlier, who are you becoming? Because the only way that you can really hold more blessings, the way that you can really grow, the way that you can really focus on more abundance even when you don't have it is who are you becoming? Are you the person that should hold more abundance? Are you the person that has a different perspective? Are you the person that is actually embracing all of the curveballs that you're being faced with? Or are you the person that is playing the victim every single time? Therefore, you are still having to learn the lesson that you're not learning. So I hope this conversation was helpful for even one of you. My goal with these conversations, like I mentioned, girls, is to share with you the things that are helping me, that continue to help me in my life, and that have transformed my life. Because I've mentioned before, where I come from and where I'm at, I am proud of myself. And I want to remind you to be proud of yourself too. Because even though I don't know your specific story, I know you've been through some stuff. Like, you've been through something, and there's a reason why you even listen to these conversations. So I want to remind you that you can absolutely manifest anything you want and that you are worthy. But the only thing that's setting you apart from the person that you are and the person you want to become is yourself. So with that, thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Thank you so much for watching yet another episode of Walking Manifestator. And with that being said, I want to remind you, visualize, embody, and transcend. Be the walking manifestator you are born to be.